This is a post from r/AskReddit. What is a story that you want to tell but can't find the right AskReddit? Sure, lol. My freshman year of university we had an football team and we were straight trash. I'm talking blown out every game without scoring a single point all year trash. Anyways, last game of the year we are down like 35 or something points with time dwindling, but somehow the other team had busted coverage that allowed our guy to get down the field and score a TD. Our team went freaking nuts like it was 1999. Guys on the sidelines running on the field, guys hugging like we had won the Super Bowl, guys diving on top of the dude who scored. I'm talking like last-second victory in the championship game of inspirational football movie Celebration. Refs were just other students and the other team was pretty chill, so they basically let us finish up our wild celebration and kill like 2 minutes of the running clock celebrating. We ended up losing like 35-7 or whatever, but it was still one of the greatest moments of my freshman year because of how stupid it was. This reminds me of an ex's little brother. He was 6 to 7 at the time, playing soccer in a kids team. They were beyond bad. One day, after a match, he came home super happy. He was running from the car, both hands in the air doing V signs, screaming his lungs out. I got exited for him and asked him if they had won. As cheerily as before, he proclaimed that they only lost by 12 points, as they had actually scored a goal. The first goal for over 14 matches, where they usually lost by at least 15 points. I fully just read that as this kid being 6'7", and it improved the story greatly in my head. My cousin used to play in the NFL. One game, he gave us family passes so we could meet up with him in the players/family tent after the game. Watched the game, went down there, and I had to pee. I remember I had passed a security guard when we arrived in the area and went back to that spot to see if they could tell me where a bathroom was because I couldn't find anyone else that worked there. The security guard was nowhere to be found and I really had to pee, so I followed a long hallway back, and the only thing at the end of the hallway was a set of giant double doors. I opened one and started walking into the locker room. Looked up, saw some of the players changing, 1 or 2 in towels, and definitely a couple with everything hanging out. I'm just this little 5'2" female that wasn't even wearing a jersey from their team. I had a Pro Bowl jersey on of a player from a different team, and I walked right on into an NFL locker room like it was my business to be in there, and then I walked right on out. Never told my cousin and never told anyone in my family. Was definitely super embarrassed at the time. Now it's just funny. I have questions. Inappropriate questions. I have answers. Completely irrelevant answers. Let's hear them. Movie theaters make the overwhelming majority of their money from their concession stands. Got any more? A pig's orgasm can last for 30 minutes. I have an elderly neighbor who lives upstairs. I don't know his name, so I'm going to call him Fred for the sake of this story. Fred is a strange individual. He plays piano at 3 in the morning. He just glares at you if you say something to him. He doesn't speak to anyone really. I've only seen him interacting with a human once, when he was yelling at a salesman. I don't know who Fred is, because he's my only neighbor with an unmarked mailbox. Based on Fred's observable behavior, I would definitely label him as a recluse. About a month ago I got home, pulled into my parking lot and turned off my car. I heard something that sounded like a gunshot, so I waited in my car for a bit, then finally decided to venture out into the unknown. I saw Fred crouched beside one of my neighbor's cars with something in his hand. I noticed the vehicle's tire had been slashed. As I walked past, I asked Fred if his tire got popped. He just stared at me with an eerie, emotionless glare, the kind of glare that makes you feel like he's looking straight through you, so I promptly started walking towards my door. Before I went inside, I looked back and saw that he had been holding a knife. This past weekend, Fred decided to slash another tire for a reason unbeknownst to me, but this time Fred's tire victim saw it happen and confronted him about it. Fred and the man broke out in a heated argument and Fred threatened to shoot his victim. The man went inside and immediately called the police. A little bit later the police showed up and knocked on Fred's door. Fred walked out of his door, saw that there were police officers, apparently felt like he was trapped, so he proceeded to quickly pull out a gun and blow his own brains out in front of the police. Holy shit. Yup, for some reason was expecting a wholesome story, not an old man blowing his brains out. His brain now is pretty wholesome. I hate you, now take this upvote and go away. I had a pet chicken that would casually have what seemed to be sexual relationships with pigeons. A squirrel gave me an acorn. Birds have shit on my pizzas twice. A farmer went to the market to buy a rooster to mate with his hens. Another farmer sold him one and warned him how horny the rooster was. The farmer took the rooster home, and as soon as he put it into the pen, it has sex with every chicken. 10 minutes later it then had sex with every chicken again. Out of fear for the health of his chickens, he put it in a separate pen where it left grain on the floor to attract pigeons so that he could have sex with them. Worried, the farmer then put him with the ducks, and within 5 minutes it had sex with every duck, and again 5 minutes later. Later the farmer went back to check on the rooster to find him passed out on the floor with vultures circling above him. "Serves you right, you horny bastard," said the farmer. With that the rooster opened one eye and whispered, "Shh, you'll frighten the vultures away." r/jokes. I work at a lumber outlet. My second day on the job, my boss calls me over to introduce me to someone. At first, I thought it was a new employee, so I said welcome to the team. Then I realized my mistake. We laughed, and started chatting. This man started telling us about different cultures, and how most people would consider LA to be overcrowded, but have never been to India, so their frame of reference is skewed. Then he started talking about eating crickets for protein, and how he hates the beef industry. Then he took off in his Tesla, which had a towing hitch attached to it. I mentioned to my boss how cool it was to see a Tesla with a towing ball on it, and he said, "Do you realize who that was?" I said no, and he proceeded to tell me that this guy was Brian Thompson, a man who acted in movies with Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and most importantly to me, played Buffalo Bill in Joe Dirt. It was the happiest day of my life. An accomplished actor came to our humble lumber yard, and I mistook him for a new employee. My uncle did something similar to this. Macklemore was filming one of his music videos at the restaurant my uncle manages, and Macklemore asked him where the bathroom was. My uncle replied, "Are you part of the crew? Bathrooms are for the crew only." Macklemore assured him that yes, he was part of the crew, and then was on his way. My cousin was on the police department for a town Taylor Swift was filming a music video in. As such, she went to the PD and brought pizza to thank them for working detail. The guys at the station called my cousin who was patrolling, and he excitedly made his way to the station. He got there, and was really confused at what this blonde girl was doing there. They said, "That's Taylor Swift," to which my cousin replied, "Aw man, I thought you said Taylor Hicks, the American Idol guy." Related story that is about the actual Taylor Swift. My grandparents part-owned and worked at a gift store in Auckland, New Zealand. One day this young American lady with blonde hair comes into their little shop with like 4 or 5 security/entourage, and they had zero clue. Another customer told them afterwards who it was, and when my papa tells the story he proudly refers to it as when Taylor Smith came to his store. When I was younger, I had a ladybug pillow pet when pillow pets were somehow the rage back then. I was once in the airport waiting for a flight that got delayed, and I put my ladybug on top of my suitcase. There was another, much younger kid also at the gate, and he took notice of my pillow pet. His mom asked me if I could let him borrow it to play, and I gave her the go-ahead. The kid was immediately ecstatic and started throwing the ladybug up in the air to catch it. He was overall just having a fun time playing while I watched. My dad and I went to walk around the airport to find a place to eat before boarding call, and when we came back, we found the kid sleeping on the seats while resting his head on the pillow pet. His mom thanked us for letting her son play with my plush, and when we were called to board, she gave back the pillow to me so I could use it for the flight. I hate waiting at the airport and having to deal with the occasional unfriendly traveler. But whenever I go to the airport and have a bad time, I sometimes think about the one kid whose boredom I killed by letting him borrow my pillow pet. Holy cannoli. This is major deja vu for me. Like legit freaky. I swear I had a dream about your comment a long time ago. Whoa, like reading it or something? No, he is the kid you gave the pillow to. Dun dun dun. Remember that kid you gave your pillow pet to? He's on Reddit now. Feeling old yet? My friends and I were skipping our exam and went to the boys' locker room and decided, as females, that my friend was going to pee in the urinal. As we chanted, "Do it, do it, do it," this teacher, who was later fired for impregnating a student, walks in and just awkwardly screams sorry and leaves. Similar. Doing maintenance at a school in my 20s. Had to clean the girls' restroom and as required shouted maintenance. "Anyone in here?" Coming in for cleaning. I waited a few seconds and hearing nothing went in and began cleaning. After a minute of duties I went to the first stall door and opened it to wash it out. Sitting on the toilet was a very young girl with her panties pulled down and legs askew looking up at me blankly. I recoiled in horror and exclaimed, "Oh my God honey, why didn't you tell me you were here?" I left as quickly as possible and thanked the Lord nothing became of it. What's the appropriate thing to say when someone is coming in to clean and you're there? Occupied? Just a minute? What if you know you're going to be in there for longer than is generally acceptable due to intestinal distress and you know no one wants to be in there after that? If someone was there they'd say yes usually. Any kind of response is better than nothing. I called a person with the same name as me, say Emily, not my real name. Our conversation went, her, hello this is Emily me, yes very long pause her, what? Me, oh sorry hello my name is Emily too. And then I died inside. I had a similar conversation years ago that still haunts me today. Let's say I'm also called Emily, her, hello, is this Emily? Me, no, this is Emily and then I died inside. I hate phones with a passion. These super awkward conversations always end up happening to me. Same here. My aversion to phone calls is at the point where it affects my life. Thanks for watching everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Experimental Journeys.